All right, hey everyone, my name is Alex. I work for Sechs Wunderkinder, and I'm actually going to talk to you for a little bit today about sleep. This is actually not a technical talk. This is more of a scientific talk, so brace yourselves. People like science. So why talk about sleep? There's really two reasons, but the big one is ultimately our job is to think and to solve problems, and sleep plays a huge factor in how well we can actually do that. And it also, as sort of a side note, we have a macho culture about sleep, that if somebody tells you they're really hardcore and they only sleep 5 hours a night, that we sort of want to respect that, even though we maybe shouldn't. Ultimately, how do we get the most out of ourselves? So I don't really need to talk too much, I think, about sleep deprivation. I think we all know that if you don't sleep at all, you can't really function, and that happens pretty quickly. What's more interesting, actually, is what happens if you have what they call sleep restriction. Most of us need about 7 to 8 or 8.5 hours a day of sleep, but a lot of us don't get that. I'm sure a lot of us here haven't gotten that this weekend, but a lot of people don't get that even on a regular basis. So what happens then? And surprise, the answer is the less you sleep, the less well your brain functions. And that is both proportional to how much sleep you're losing, and it builds up over time. So, just something to think about. Do you think 6 hours of sleep a night is reasonable? And sort of to answer that, we can look at some charts from a study that was done at the University of Pennsylvania. This is no sleep, and as you can see, the errors just sort of shoot up for the 3 days that people can actually survive that without sleep. And this is 8 hours of sleep a night, which basically is normal. Like, there's a little bit of error introduction, but not, it's pretty flat. If you sleep 4 hours a night, is it a laser pointer? That one? Yeah, if you sleep 4 hours a night, oh well, wait, it's okay. You can see that you really quickly, within a week, you are in sleep-deprived territory. 2 weeks, you might as well not have been sleeping, or at least some portion of your brain is functioning like that. And this happens even if you've been sleeping 6 hours a night. In 2 weeks, you're starting not to function, well. You're starting to function as if you'd been sleep-deprived. Oh, sorry. The vertical axis is lapses in a particular test they use to measure sleep deprivation. So the number of times that a person wasn't able to respond to this prompt in the time given. And this is a US Army study. It basically shows the same thing. Here, the lines go further down, performance degrades more as you get less sleep. And what's important here, obviously, is we don't just respond to things, we have to do higher order thinking, and that is ultimately affected as well. I don't have time to go into it, but similar studies, these studies, some of which included more complex tests, also show degradation. They also show that in some cases, the expected learning about the task doesn't happen. Now still, is 6 hours still reasonable? A few other topics I don't have time to go into. One is the idea of recovery sleep. Can you just, burn yourself through the week and then just crash on the weekend? And the answer seems to be no. Your brain seems to adapt to less sleep in ways that last for more than a day or two. So you can't just sleep it off and be totally fresh and ready on Monday morning. Another interesting thing is that there's a huge distribution of what they call chronotypes, basically sleeping patterns in the population, which introduces the idea of social jet lag, that if you have to get up for some 8:30 meeting every day, but you would naturally wake up at 8 o'clock, you're constantly going to be off, you're constantly going to be sleepy, and you're going to be performing worse than you could be. And this is just the distribution. Like 45% of people, what's interesting, wake up naturally between 8 and 9:30. And so it's like if you're scheduling meetings at 9 a.m., you're going to have some portion of your team that is not functioning as well. Why are you paying them if you're then also going to make them perform below their peak? It has been shown that when people's work aligns with their cycles, they perform better. Can we make I think we're pretty good here about having flexible work schedules, letting people control their own time. In conclusion, what does this mean? Crunch mode is a bad idea. The more you burn people, the less they perform. This has been known for over a century. You should try to get enough sleep, whatever is right for you. If you have control, encourage other people to sleep. You know, obligatory cat picture. They sleep, you should do it too. So.
Perfect timing.